You're watching Business Week here on Arise News. As the conversation around gender lens investing intensifies, more female founders and investors are reaping dividends of this discourse. But what are the success metrics for fundraising and factors that influence them? Well, joining me to get into more details around this is Yvonne Johnson, co-founder and CEO of Indicina, a fintech infrastructure startup. Thank you so much for joining us today, Yvonne.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, great to be here. So you recently raised $3 million for expansion. How was that experience for you, and how much have you raised in total to date?
Good question. We've raised in total just shy of $4 million. And for me, the experience, and just putting this into context, this is venture funding. I already had some experience in terms of angel investing, so I had some context in terms of a network I was able to tap into, and being able to craft my pitch, to meet some of these biases. But I think one of the most interesting insights for me is that, when I was in corporate, you really have to have a yes all the way through. If there's a new project, your boss has to say yes, his boss has to say yes, the committee has to say yes. But with fundraising, what I find is that you're just looking for the one yes, right? You get a lot of no's, but you're just looking for the one yes. So it's been an interesting experience, but I was able to tap into past experience in the space.
So you being on the investor side, now
Correct.
You're on the entrepreneurial side. So the question is, are we clutching at straws here? Is there a problem with women-owned businesses like yourself actually finding funding?
Yes.
Okay.
There is.
What are some of these things?
So if you look at some of the statistics, right, funding, so in 2022, for example, funding to female-only founders, so startups with, just a female founder, is still less than 2%, I think 1.9%. If you include a founding team that has at least one female, it jumps up to 15%, which is still, which is still a challenge. So the whole idea of channeling more capital to female founders, it's still an issue. I mean, Serena Williams talks about it as about a motivation for starting her venture fund, right? So there's still a lot of work to be done.
And what do you think needs to happen within the ecosystem here in Nigeria, in Africa, to improve the capacity of female entrepreneurs to successfully fundraise?
There's a lot of options, right? I mean, if you look at it and think the core problem of how do we channel more capital to female founders, right? So that's the core problem. There is a number of options. One of them is to try to change the mix of the investment teams, investment committees, right? There's a lot of statistics that say, for example, venture partners that are female, there's also a challenge in terms of, the number of female venture founders. The other option that I also think about is, can the LPs also be a part of the solution? I'll give you an example. Munich Re, for example, has announced that they are not going to be reinsuring any new oil and gas projects from April, right? Munich Re is a big institutional investor. So if you're a fund and they're one of your LPs, all of a sudden, that has an impact in terms of the pitches you can see, the deals you can do.
Yeah.
And so similarly, the LPs can also be a source, a driver of solutions to this problem.
I mean, this is such a fascinating topic. We could go on all day.
Yes,
Yvonne Johnson, co-founder actually, and CEO of Indicina. It's been great talking to you, and all the best.
Thank you so much.